Hi, my name is Cher and I am from Herald Studio, and I'm here today to give you just a couple tips on stamping. Today I'm going to show you a technique that I use a lot with rocking my stamps back and forth to make sure that I get the full impression of a stamp that maybe has a lot of details. I can get the whole impression into my metal. When I first started metal smithing, I was super excited about stamping, and in my head I was going to put the stamps down, hit it once with a hammer and have a perfect impression. And as some of you probably can relate, that is not really the experience you get when you stamp. A lot of us want it to be much easier than it is, and it actually does take quite a bit of practice to really be happy with your results with stamping. One of my recommendations just from the get-go is anytime you get a new stamp, instead of going to use it directly on your project, I would recommend getting to know your stamp a little bit. Sometimes there's an area of a stamp that could be a little tricky where you might have to lean into the area that's not raised as high. That way you can make sure you get the full impression. So when I'm getting to know a stamp, I usually practice on copper. You could do brass too because it's an inexpensive metal, but copper I recommend a little more because it's softer. And then I also anneal the metal. That's going to help soften it up a little bit, and then your stamp will sink down a little more into the metal. So on the surface that I'm going to stamp on today, I have a rubber block underneath my steel block, and I like to take a little bit of electrical tape and just bind them together. That way it's fairly stable. Another surface that people like stamping on quite a bit is a sandbag, and I have one of these at home too, and I guess I just don't really use it that much. I don't like the fact that it rocks. I know a lot of people use this and it works really well for them, so I'm in no way saying this isn't a good surface to stamp on. It's just not one that works for me very well. So I do prefer my rubber block with the steel block and binding it together to hold the surfaces together. Also at home, I put this on top of a tree stump, and that just gives me a really nice solid place to do my stamping. When I first started doing some stamping, I had a really cheap IKEA table, and no matter how hard I would hit the stamp, what was underneath just wasn't solid enough, so I was not having very good luck with my stamping then either. So for your stamping, you can use a little bit of double-sided Scotch tape if you want to hold your metal in place. I do that sometimes. There's also some really great sticker guides from Impress Art that hold your metal down, and then there's also a little graph so that you can get things nice and precise. But this is just a little sample piece of copper. I'm not going to use it for anything. I just want to show you a little bit of the rocking technique. So I'm going to use a heavy brass hammer, and I use that probably most of the time, although towards the end of the day, if I've been working in my studio for hours, I switch over to just a household hammer. Using this all day long, I'm over 40, my hands get really stiff, so you might want to have something to fall back on. So I'm going to use the heavy brass hammer. I'm going to do a rocking technique, kind of have this situated the way I want it. I'm just going to kind of stabilize it, and then I put my fingers down on the base of the stamp, and that just helps me stabilize my fingers a little bit more. And I'm going to be rocking the stamp away from me and then towards me, and then 3 o'clock, 9 o'clock, and then maybe a couple straight down. And there I have a pretty deep impression where I was able to get all of the sides of the stamp. So hopefully this will help you out a little bit if you're having some tough times with stamping. If you are, know you're in good company. Most of us have been there, and definitely just keep practicing. Thank you so much for watching our video today. Please give us a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel. We're super excited to bring you more content in the future. Thank you.